Hello, welcome to today's class. It's Tuesday, February 16th, 2 days after Valentine's Day, and we are all recovering from a massive snow and ice storm here in Portland. Okay, so let's begin. You can either be seated with your legs crossed or seated in a chair. If your legs are crossed and you're seated on the ground, just check that your crown of your head is directly over your tailbone. Your shoulders are back and down. Your hands can lightly rest on your knees, or you can fold them in your lap. And if you want to lie on the ground, if that's more comfortable for you, on your back, just have your feet on the ground with the knees pointed up, and check that your shoulder blades are flat against the earth. So let's begin. Soften your eyes and your face. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And take a couple of nourishing inhales and exhales. Now start to draw your senses inward. So move away and from your busy day and start to come inward, down into your spiritual world inside. Check where your thoughts are and bring them down into your body, down into your breath. Check your breath, check your body, just scan through your body, see if you're harboring tension in any area and soften that area. And without any stress or strain, just pay attention to your breath. First of all, bringing your attention to your inhales. Notice how the inhale moves the body. Notice where it moves in the body. What parts of the body it expands. Notice it from the first intake at your nostrils. And try to deepen the inhale so that it comes further down into the body, down into the belly, expanding the belly. Now bring your attention to your exhales. Notice the rhythm of the exhale. Notice the path of the exhale as it leaves the body. Notice that sensation of the air as it leaves through your nostrils. Now bring your attention to both the inhale and the exhale, to the length of the inhale and the exhale. Not that you need to lengthen it too much, but just try and even out the exhale so that it matches the inhale. So the inhale and the exhale are about the same count. So if your inhale is 2 count, your exhale is 2 count. We'll do that for a couple of breaths. One more time. And the last part of this breathing exercise, we're just going to lengthen the exhale by 2 counts. So if the inhale is 2, the exhale will be 4. If your inhale is 3, your exhale will be 5. So you don't want to cause any stress when you're doing this, but lengthening out that exhale is going to bring you down a notch and really help to relax your body even more. So we'll do this for about 10 breaths. So noticing the count on the inhale and lengthening it out by 2 on the exhale. Two more. Great. Okay, so now you can open your eyes, come back to your normal breathing. Just going to make sure everybody's muted here. Okay, great. Okay, so now you can come down onto your backs, onto your mats. And just have your knees pointing up towards the ceiling. Your feet are about hip distance apart, arms by your side, your shoulder blades flat against the earth. Neck is long, the chin can be slightly tucked. And if you just go down your back body, you'll feel there's a slight, the back of your skull, there's a slight curve at your neck, the cervical spine, which is very natural curve. And then coming down your upper back, mid back, and then the lower back, there's another natural curve in the spine. And then the pelvis, the back of the hips are flat on the mat. We're going to begin with some pelvic tilt. So we're going to be moving the pelvis forward and backward, using the muscles around the pelvis to move. So not using your legs or your belly muscles as much as possible, just moving the pelvis. So to do that, the hip points, which you can find with your thumb, are going to move forward. And as they move forward, you'll notice that the arch in the back of your back increases in your lower back. And then as the hip points move backwards, the lower back flattens into the earth. So moving forward, that curve increases, and backwards, your back flattens. So when the arch increases, you can inhale and exhale as you flatten back down. So just moving the pelvis here, and you'll find the oscillation going all the way up and down your spine, all the way through to your head. So there's a gentle bobbing motion. As we just move that pelvis, warming it up, warming up the hips, warming up the lower back, sacrum. Relax your jaw. Inhaling and exhaling as we move. And then come back to a neutral spine with that gentle curve in the lower back. Now you can take your feet out to a little bit wider than your hips. If you're on a mat, it would be about the width of the mat. Arms a little bit further away from the body, palms up, and we'll just start to warm up the outside of the hips here and the hip joints. by windshield wipers, taking the knees halfway over to the floor on the exhale. Inhale, back up to center, letting the knees drop halfway to the other side. So we're just slowly and gently warming up this pelvis area, not going all the way over yet. A nice gentle swaying back and forth with the knees, and you can start to let the weight of gravity and your legs pull you over a little more to each side. You find the opposite hip coming up off the floor, a little twist in the lower back, keeping the upper body relaxed. Exhaling as you come to one side, inhaling as you come to center, and exhaling as you release over to the other side. Taking nice, steady, even breaths. One more release on either side. Feeling those hips warming up, the femur bone come to center. Now the femur bone rotating back and forth in the hip socket. Now bring your feet back to hip distance apart. We're going to do just some very gentle bridges, and then we'll actually do a full bridge. So these bridges, we're going to be taking the arms up and over, and then raising the hips, just taking the hips a little bit off the mat. You don't have to come into full bridge. So just pressing your feet into the ground and raising your hips off the mat. And then exhale as you drop your hips back down to the mat and arms come back to your side. So inhale as you press your feet in, lift the hips and arms come up and over. Exhale in a nice smooth move, lowering the hips and arms to the side. Inhale gracefully, raising the hips and arms up and over. Exhale smoothly, bringing those hips and arms down by your side. Do 3 more rounds, working with your breath. Really being mindful of your movement. As you rise up using the strength of your legs, and then lower back down each vertebrae down onto the mat. 1 more round. Now we're going to come into full bridge. So bring your feet in a little bit closer to your buttocks. You might even be able, if your hands are down by your side, you might be able to reach your fingertips, might be able to reach your heels. Now we're going to flatten the back out again, like we were doing with the pelvic tilt. So the lower back is flat on the mat. Your neck is long, head is relaxed. With the arms are going to remain by our sides. We're going to tuck them in under us, but they're not going to come up and over this time. So check that your 4 corners of your both feet are grounded into the mat. You're going to press your feet into the mat as you take your hip points straight up towards the ceiling. So hips come up towards the ceiling. You're pushing up through your feet. Your knees are drawing away from your chest. And here you can just lift your chest and tuck your shoulder blades under, and your arms can come under your back. If you like, you can even clasp your hands under you. So here we're in full bridge pose. A nice lift to the back of your waist. Your chest is drawing up. It's kind of inching towards your chin, but you want to keep your neck nice and long, so there's a nice space between your chin and your chest, and there's a line from your collarbones all the way through to your knees. Keep your inner thighs active so that the knees are not going out to the sides but facing straight forward. And breathe here. You can press your arms into the mat to give you a little bit more of a lift. Stretching all the front of the body here, all the front abdominal muscles, the quads. And start to release. You can unroll your shoulder blades and then slowly take your hips back down onto the mat. Take a moment here to reconnect with your breath. And then come and roll over onto your side body. So you can stretch your, if you roll over to the left, you can stretch your lower arm, or whatever side you're on, you can stretch your lower arm out on the mat and then just place it under your skull as you just relax here in this side balance pose. So we're balancing on our side body. And then lift your upper leg, bend your knee, and see if you can hold the top of your foot with your upper arm to get a nice quad stretch here. So there's a little bit of balancing going on. And draw that heel in towards your buttocks, the upper heel in towards the buttock. You're stretching out that upper quad, the quad of the upper leg, and then you can release. And now we're going to take the lower arm down flat onto the mat. We're going to do a nice full stretch. So take your upper arm all the way up by your ear and stretch all the way through the upper arm from toes through to fingertips, stretching the side body here. And then you can bring your hand in front of you, using that as a little kickstand. And then we're going to practice a tree pose on the ground, a supine tree pose. So start to slide your foot up, your upper foot up your lower leg, and see how far you can get it up your leg. You might get it all the way up to your thigh, or it might just be on your calf. If you do get it up to your thigh, you can see if you can reach it with your hand and bring it all the way up to the groin area, and then press the foot into the leg and the leg into the foot. As you balance here, you can let your head drop down onto your arm if that's more comfortable for your head. You're opening up that right hip. And then release. And then roll over and come to the other side. So lay on the opposite side body here. Arms stretched out, and then you can bend your elbow and just rest your head in your hand. So first we're going to be bending that upper leg at the knee and taking the arm around. So you're also opening up your shoulder here as you take your hand onto the top of your foot, and a nice quad stretch here. Opening up the shoulder and chest, and the pec, stretching the pectoral muscles. Breathe evenly. 2 more breaths here. And then straighten that leg out. Now the lower arm or hand is going to come down onto the mat to find your balance. If you have to keep your hand here, you can, to keep your balance. But if you can, stretch out that upper arm all the way by your ear and stretch from your toes all the way up the side body through to the fingertips, palm facing down. And now that front upper hand comes to the front as you start to slide your upper foot all the way up your leg to whatever part of your leg you can reach at. If you can reach your hand down there, you can help it to come further up your thigh all the way to the groin area in a side supine Side lying down tree pose, because we will be doing tree pose later. Opening up the hip, groin, rotating that femur bone out to the outside of the hip socket. Okay, and now you can roll over onto your tummies. We'll come into Sphinx pose. So elbows are under the shoulders. Lengthen out your legs. So really lengthen out the legs. The buttocks draw down towards, the buttocks draw away from the waist, and the sit bones draw down towards the heels. You can press your feet into the mat and then lift your knees a little bit, and then just take your shoulders up and back, shoulder blades back, and lift your chest. Lift through the upper, the middle and upper back through to the base of the head. So use the back muscles to rise up. Chest is lifted forward. You can press your hands down into the mat, your hands and forearms, to get more of a lift. Breathe into that chest. So try to distribute the curve of the back all the way up the back, especially in the mid and upper back, up through to the base of the crown. Take a couple more breaths here in this nice back bend. The gaze can be low, neck is long. Chest is coming through the forearms. You're lifting all the way from the pelvic bone all the way through the front of the body, stretching all the way through the front of the body. And then you can lower down, cross your hands in front of you and take a little rest. Chin can, your cheek can rest on your hands. And now take your arms down by your side, palms facing towards your thighs. This time we're going to peel our bodies up. So once again, lengthen through the lower back. So stretch those legs way out from your pelvis. You can lift them and lengthen them. And then raise your arms a little as you also raise your chest, shoulders, and head. Once again, using those back muscles. Don't lift from the head, from the crown of the head. Try and lift from the back muscles. You can even interlace your fingers here and reach your hands back towards your feet. Neck is long. Gaze is low. As you breathe, as you inhale, see if you can come a little higher. And then release. And you can turn your cheek to the other, hands come in front, make a little pillow and turn your cheek to the other side, your head to the other side. So now we'll come up, lifting up through your hands onto your hands and knees in table. And then just do a little moving table. So just rock your hips back and forth or side to side. Just rocking the hips to give a little release to the spine here. Nice release to the lower back area. And come to center. Take your right foot out, toes tucked under. Activate your belly muscles. So draw your navel in towards your spine and then up towards your head. So we're going to be protecting the lower back as we lift the leg up to about hip height, toes pointed down. And then for a balancing pose, you can raise your left hand up to shoulder height, palms facing forward, and stretch from the fingertips through to the heel. Press your shin into the ground. That'll help with balance. Lengthening, extending the limbs out from the torso in both opposite directions. And then you can draw the hand back down to the mat and the knee back down onto the mat. Take a moment here. Then the left foot goes out, toes tucked under. Activate, turn those belly muscles by just drawing the belly button in towards the lower back and then up. Lift that left leg up to about hip distance using the inner thigh muscles. And then we're going to balance on the other side. So find your balance here, lift the right hand, palms facing forward, neck is long, you're looking down towards the floor. And feel the stretch as the fingers stretch out in front of you and your heel of your foot stretches out behind you. Connection is through the torso. And press that shin into the mat. That does help with balance here. And then back to center. And then draw your hips all the way back to your heels. And we're going to come into child's pose. There's different ways you can have your hands outstretched out in front of you. Release your head down to the mat with your knees divided nice and wide so you can rest your belly and chest in between. Or you can cross your hands in front of you and rest your forehead on the mat. If you need to bring a pillow or a block so you've got something to rest your head on. And then just let that release of the lower back broaden across the back of your hips. Breathe into your belly. And on your next breath, breathe into your back ribs. So you can feel your whole rib cage expanding. A couple more breaths here in this lovely, relaxing pose. Let your shoulders relax. Okay, back up to table, and then take your hands a little bit ahead of your shoulders, so not directly under your shoulders, just a little bit ahead as we come into down dog. Check that your wrists are facing forward, your fingers are spread wide, finding a really nice fat base for your hands. Turn your upper arms in towards each other. Tuck your toes. And then push up with your hands, push your hips up towards the ceiling. You can keep your knees bent if you like, or you can straighten them. Or the one really nice thing to do on your first down dog is to pedal out your leg. So you can take one leg, bend one leg and straighten the other, and then do it on the opposite side. And slowly come to still and feel those hips raising towards the ceiling, the sit bones raising towards the ceiling, the heels dropping down towards the mat or towards the earth, and you're pushing up through your hands and shoulders, balanced between your hands and your feet. Then come forward so that the shoulders are coming over the wrists into plank. Then you can bend your knees back into table. Take a little rest back in child's pose. We're going to do this 2 more times. Rise up, tuck your toes, push through your hands, all the way up to down dog. You can feel the lengthening of the calf muscles, the hamstrings. Try to make a nice straight line from the hands all the way up through to the shoulders, and the shoulders through to the hips. Okay, now we can come forward into plank, knees down to the mat, untuck your toes, back into child's pose, rest. And one more time, up to table, toes tucked, push up to down dog, release the heels down towards the mat. Chest comes towards the thighs. Breathe here. Come forward to plank. Drop the knees down to the mat. And then you can just come over onto one side, over onto your hip, and come to cross-legged seated position. So move the flesh from your buttocks back behind you so your sit bones can make contact with the earth. So once again, the crown of the head is directly over the tailbone. So a nice long spine. Raise your arms up, circle your arms up towards the ceiling. And you can interlace your fingers and turn your palms up towards the ceiling. See if you can reach your hands up by your ears. And inhale and then exhale and take your arms behind you and interlace your fingers behind you. You can stretch your hands out away from your body and lift your chin. Breathe into your front body. And then come to center. Take your right arm, let's see. Take your right arm up towards the ceiling, fingers to the top, left hand over to the mat beside you, and then inhale, exhale, over to the left side. Now take that right hand down to the mat, lengthen up through the left side of the body, left fingertips up to the ceiling, and start to tilt over to the right side. Palms facing down, and then bring that hand back to the mat. Take both hands back up to the ceiling. Nice inhale. And on the exhale, start to take your right hand to the back of the room, left hand to the front of the room in a gentle twist as both hands reach the mat to either front and back of your body. Inhale, hands come up to center. Exhale, over to the other side and a nice gentle twist over to the left. You can take your head and look over your left shoulder. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, hands up to the ceiling. Exhale, twist from your shoulders and chest. Look over your right shoulder. Inhale, back up to center. And exhale, twist over to the left side. And you can just come back to center. Take a moment here And now we're just going, because we're going to come into tree pose. And tree pose, a lot of it is finding your roots and your foundation. So it's really want to have our the soles of our feet activated and sensitive to the earth. So let's do a nice foot massage. So you can just bring your right foot out, and using your thumbs, you can just use those to make little circles around the ball of your foot and down through the arch. Really get into that arch of your foot here. And down towards your heel. And then you can take your left hand and wrap it around the tops of your toes and bend your toes back and forward. And then take each toe and just give it a little tug. So a little circle and tug it, a little circle, tug it out away from your feet, each toe. And then to try and make a little space in between your toes, just take one finger and just put it between each toe. Give it a little massage right down there at the bottom of the toe. And just do a nice stroking all the way along the sole of the foot. Do another minute of whatever feels good for you. Whatever area you feel really benefits from extra attention. And then let's do it on the other foot. So starting with your thumbs, just massaging, circular movement with your thumbs pressing into your ball of your foot, arch of your foot. You can even use your knuckles in the arch. Coming down to the heel. And hold your toes and move them back and forth. So wrap your hands around, your fingers around your toes. Try to get some movement in the toe area. And then each toe, each foot, each toe you can just circle it and then give it a little pull, a little tug. Create some space by just putting a finger in between each toe. And then back to whatever feels good. Just really sensitizing the bottom of the foot. That was very nice. Always a nice thing to do. Now bring the soles of your feet together into Baddha Konasana, cobbler's pose. And you can draw them closer into your groin if that's comfortable for you, or a little bit away from you. You're going to feel a stretch along the inner thighs here. So just let the knees drop down to the sides. You can hold either your shins or your ankles, or you can hold your toes, but keep a straight back. And then if you like, you can start to come forward, leading with your collarbone. So we don't want to round the back. We want to come forward with a straight back. Use your elbows, on your shins. They can help a little bit with getting the knees a little closer to the earth. And as when you've come as far forward with a straight back as is comfortable for you, you can drop your head down. The crown of the head comes down into the space between your legs or in towards your feet. And just relax here. Let the head drop, let the head be heavy. Feel the sensation or in the upper legs, lower back. And breathe into the tightness. And as the muscles relax and lengthen, you might even be able to go a little deeper. Two more breaths here. You can begin to release and sigh out your exhale as you begin to come back up to vertical. Take your hands to the outside of your knees and bring your knees in together, and then you can come onto one side. And we're going to just come up to standing. So we've been working on opening up the hips to prepare for tree pose. So first of all, really feel the earth underneath you. Feel the whole sole of your feet making contact with the earth, and you can even lift your toes and rock a little bit back and forth to find your balance here. Side to side, from one side of the foot to the other. And find that perfect balance. Now we're going to be grounding down into the left leg. So first of all, bring your hands to heart center. Lengthen down from your left shoulder all the way down the left side to the left sole of your foot as your weight starts to come into your left foot. Now find a focal point in front of you, something that's not moving, that's not too far in front of you. And just start to focus in on that point. Get lightness in your right leg as you bend the right knee, and then rotate that right leg all the way out to the right side from the hip bone, knee, and all the way out to the side. You can just rest your right heel on your left inner ankle. When you're ready, and if you're ready, you don't have to bring your foot up, but if you'd like to challenge yourself with a little balance, you can begin to slide your foot up your calf. If it can come all the way up to your inner thigh, and sometimes this depends on what you're wearing also. Sometimes the pants can be a little bit slippery. Oh man, I'm watching my image, which is not a good thing because I'm moving. So let me find a focal point. The sole of the foot comes up to either the calf or the inner thigh. And if you like, you can extend your tree and take your arms up towards the sky, lengthening. And your tree might be swaying and wiggling, and that is fine. You can always start again. If you really want to just keep your balance, you can keep your foot on the floor. Shoulders dropping down into the arm bones, dropping down into the shoulder sockets. A couple more breaths here. And then you can release your foot back down onto the mat. We'll go to the other side. So first of all, let's bring our hands to heart center. Start to lengthen down from the shoulder all the way down the right side to the right sole of the foot. And feel that right sole of the foot growing roots down into the ground. Find your focal point, which is not me on the screen. Find your focal point. As you start to take your weight into your right leg, making your left leg light, knee comes out and then rotates all the way to the side, the left side. Your ankle can just, your heel can just rest on the inside of your right ankle. Breathe here. And when you're ready, you can begin to slide that sole of the foot up to the calf, or if you want to try and bring it all the way up to the inner thigh, pressing the sole into the leg and the leg into the sole. Grow your tree and your branches, feeling your balance, strength, rootedness. And like I said, sometimes your pants might make your foot slip down your leg. So don't feel any pressure to have a perfect tree pose. Whatever your tree pose is the perfect pose. So you can let your hands come down to your sides and bring your left foot down onto the mat and take a moment here in mountain pose. The shoulders are dropping away from the ears. And we'll take a wide stance now and come into warrior two. So a wide stance, about if you had one leg length between your 2 feet, you can draw your right foot to the right side, the front of the room. The back heel comes in a little. And we're going to begin getting our base, our foundation. So start to bend the front knee, the right knee, to approximate 90 degrees, whatever is comfortable. And the back edge of the back foot is rooting into the ground. You can tuck your tailbone just a little here so you have nice length in the back. We want to make sure that the right thigh, the right knee is tracking over the middle of the right foot. So use your thigh muscles to track that knee over the middle of the foot so it's not coming to the inside or outside. And then when you're ready, you can just begin to raise your arms up to shoulder height. Really lengthen that back arm out so you've got a really nice straight torso. It's coming straight up and down. You're balanced between the back and the left foot, and then look over your right fingertips as you breathe into this pose. And now we're going to come into side angle. So start to take the front elbow down onto the front knee, and you don't want to collapse into that right shoulder. So lift up through the arm and then begin to raise your back arm up towards the ceiling and then all the way over by your ear as you extend and lengthen all along the left side of the body. You can have your gaze wherever is more comfortable for your head. 2 breaths here. And then start to come back up to standing, back to warrior two, looking over the fingertips. And we'll go back into dancing warrior. So this time the back arm, so we're keeping the legs in the same position, same foundation. The back hand slides down the left leg as the right hand reaches up towards the ceiling, palm face down, lengthening and reaching up through the right side. Looking up at the fingers if that's comfortable for your neck. And then come back to warrior two. You can take your hands to your side, straighten your bent knee, and then come back to center. And we'll come into the, bring your hands, feet back to me. Something just broke in my kitchen. Something cracked, I don't know what it was. Okay, now we'll come to the other side. So take your legs out again. This time we're going to turn the left foot out to the left side of the room. And the Back heel comes in a little. Begin to bend that front knee and using your thigh muscle so that it's tracking over the middle of your foot. And really ground down through the back of the back foot. Wherever your pelvis lands here is where it should be. So I'm just going to find that. You can bring it a little bit towards the front of the room, but you don't want it to impact the knee. So you want to make sure that that front knee. Now raise your hands and arms, lift them up to shoulder height. Just look back at the back arm, the right arm, and extend it all the way out so your torso is nice and straight. Extend the right fingertips out so you're lengthening from fingertip to fingertip and look over your left fingers. Press down into your right foot. Get 2 breaths here. Shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. And then start to tilt over to the left. The elbow comes down onto the knee. Push up with your arm. You don't want to collapse into that left shoulder. And then if you like, you can either swing the arm down and around by your ear, or you can take it straight up towards the ceiling and by your ear. Straight arrow from the back foot all the way through the right side through to the fingertips. Lengthening up through under the arm there, all the way up through that arm. And now we're going to take that right arm up towards the ceiling, the top arm up towards the ceiling, and so you start to come vertical and then slide it down the back leg as you begin to raise your front arm, the left arm, palm up towards the ceiling, and you can turn your chest to look up at your fingers if that's comfortable for you. Two breaths here. And then come back to warrior two. Straighten your front knee and then turn your feet in towards the front of the room. And I always like to come down onto the mat just by doing one more pose. So take your feet out to the sides. You don't have to come down this way, whatever is comfortable, and then come into a really, really low squat, down, 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 all the way down until you reach the floor. So we will come back to the mat, knees in towards your chest, and you can take the mat to either side. Let's do some nice hip rotations. Making circles on the top of on the ceiling as we rotate our femur bones in our hip sockets, full 360 degrees, keeping that tissue down there nice and supple, nourished, and then go in the opposite direction. And come to still. You can have your hands on top of your knees as you begin to raise your head up towards your knees. Make a little ball. And then extend back down one more time. As you exhale, inhale, release, and one more time. And release. And then bring your feet back onto the mat. We'll finish up with a nice twist. Just let me change. A twist and then happy baby. We've got a few more minutes. So arms out to the side in a T. You can have the palms facing up. Bring the knees in towards the chest. And then just start to lower the knees over to one side. You can look over to Take your head in the opposite direction to your knees. So the whole leg is on the floor. If it's too much of a stretch, you can put a pillow to rest on. And then take the top knee, the right knee up towards the ceiling, followed by the left knee. Take a moment here. And then drop the knees over to the right side. Once again, you can use a block, pillow, or blanket if you need to rest, if that's too much of a stretch on your lower back. And then look over the opposite way. Just check if both shoulders are coming down onto the mat. The left shoulder might be a little bit raised. You can jiggle around to get a little bit more space there and to help that shoulder start to move towards the earth. So the shoulders are flat on the ground. Two more nice deep breaths. Breathe right into the twist. Right into the back of, into the spine. And then take the left knee up, followed by the right knee back up to center. And bring your feet onto the mat. Hands down by your side, arms by your side. This time bring your knees in towards your chest and take them out to the sides. And now you're going to start to keep the knees bent, but take the soles of the feet up to the mat. Up to the earth. Your hands can come through the center, through your legs, and then take hold of the inner foot of each foot as you come into happy baby. If your hands can't reach your feet, you can just be holding your shins, or you can be holding behind your thighs. And sink those hips down towards the earth. Thighs melt down towards the earth. The shoulders are relaxed. If you feel the urge to move, you can rock a little bit from side to side here. So your knees are kind of in the direction of under your arms here. And you can start to bring your legs together. You can bring your legs down onto the ground, arms up and overhead in a nice big stretch. Stretching one side of the body and then the other, lengthening through the legs. And finally releasing down to your hands down away from your body in Shavasana. If you like to use a pillow, you want to really get into your most comfortable position here. So if you'd like to use a pillow to rest your head, a rolled up blanket can be under your knees, so to avoid any compression of the lower back. And just let everything go. Let your body melt into the earth. Let your body feel heavy and just let go of any tension or any holding. You may still have, let your breath come free and easy into your body. Relax your jaw, relax around your eyes, relax across your forehead. Let the shoulders completely let go. Enjoy this little piece of paradise, complete relaxation. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. And I will end the practice now. Thank you so much for joining me, and namaste.